Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. For those of y'all who have never seen me before, my name is Erica, and about 10 years ago, I was placed on hospice with a rare, incurable, terminal neurological disease called multisystem atrophy or Shaw-Drager syndrome. And I was fully expected and prepared myself to pass away within 6 months to a year. Now, during that time, I did not give my time limit all of my time and energy and focus, but I knew that that's what they had told me, that I would die within a year. Now, at the end of that year, when it came and went, and I was still here, I knew that I had to fight for my life. So I started these new experimental treatments, and that made me healthy enough to carry and deliver a child. At the time of her birth and my C-section, something went really wrong, and a few hours after my C-section and her birth, I lost all the blood in my body and lost my life for over a minute. And my death experience is much like all of those that you've heard about before. It is a beautiful, sacred, loving, passionate, overwhelmingly peaceful experience. And the only thing that I have found comparable to death is actually giving birth, giving life. And so a lot of things happened in that minute that shook me to my very core. It challenged every belief system that I had in place. It changed every aspect and the trajectory of my life. Now, I already felt like I was given a rare opportunity to live like I was dying when I was on hospice. And then when I actually did lose my life, and I saw, I read some journals this morning, and I'm like deep in my story all over again. Whenever I did actually die, I learned that everything that I had been taught to believe and had spent my entire life worrying about was wrong. And so in that minute, my whole being changed, down to simple things like the way I move and interact every day in my everyday life. Because at the end of our life, we all have what is called an exit interview. It's not like a judgment day. It's nothing harsh or, it's not something that we're told like a scary experience. Like, oh gosh, I've done this wrong, so I'm going to hell. So what I will say is, every one of us, whether you remember it or not, has had a death experience. And even if it was a painful death, your consciousness and your energy are removed from your physical body before you feel any harm. That is a common question that I get. Like, well, what if it was a painful death? Like, your body and your consciousness leave your being, your energetic being, and your consciousness leave your body before you feel anything. There is no literal hell or heaven. They are both perspectives and states of mind. You can be living in a literal hell on earth if you choose to think the world is ending, we're all doomed, everything is happening to me. And you can be in heaven if you choose to see and open yourself to all the magic around you and shut out the distractions and shut out the disruptions and the chaos. And you can choose heaven right now. And I know that sounds like I think sometimes it's called toxic positive. Like, well, how can we choose to think like this if we have a disease or an illness and we only have so far to, like, if we only have so many months to live? Look, I've been there and I know what that's like. So I can come to you today and say, we all have choices in life. We all have very important choices in life. And it's important that you know your choices and your rights as a human. I have grown to really care and love all of the earth and her inhabitants. Even, look, we're all interconnected. And sometimes when we look around, we think, how can that possibly be part of me? But the very things that trigger us and annoy us and think, how can a person be like that? It is because that's the other part of us. And I talked, like a couple of days ago, I talked about my pecan tree and how trees are sentient beings and they have an awareness and consciousness. And back in the spring, since my death experience, there are ancestors and energy with me today. Back in the spring, my favorite pecan tree on my land, she is a grandmother and she produces beautiful pecans for us. And she has an elderberry bush nestled in her branches, in her root system. And she is a lover and a giver, just like many of you in this community are. And I feel your hearts, and she does too. And back in the spring, she told me that she wanted a divorce. And I thought, no, trees don't say that. Like, they would never. Trees, I'm getting a mixed message. Like, I don't understand this. And then I looked around and saw that this one tree had been sucking the life energy out of all of them. She had been given and given to it, and it just took more and more and more. It took more of the light. It took more of the love. It took more water and more energy and more sunlight. And then she was at the same time trying to bring up these saplings and nurture them and protect them. And she didn't have enough energy. It was draining the life force out of her. And this is a very powerful and moving message for me, because she gave this to me at this time when all of these things are going on in the world. And she said to me, it's okay. It's okay to starve that rotten tree, because that tree has drained all of us on this land. And now it outstretches past your fence line to suck more off of that side of your land. And I can't help but think that she's given me the perfect metaphor for what we are dealing with right now. We have a responsibility as peaceful, loving people and star seeds and light workers and empaths and indigo children, rainbow warriors, whatever you identify as. My message has always been that love and peace will bring in, we will usher in all this light. And I still know that. I still believe that. But we have to keep choosing that. And what you need to understand is that what we have to do is make others on our land aware of that rotten tree. And that's hard to do because not everyone can see that. Not every tree in our system can understand and see that tree for what it is. We have to keep revoking consent. And this is something that we've done over and over again. And we will continue to do it because I know that it holds power. And I'm just going to be really open and honest with y'all today. Like, I have been so irritated with my dad. But we have all chosen this. We have all chosen this moment and this time and this space so that we could make a difference. And I asked my dad, some people just want to sit and nap under that rotten tree. Thank you for that, Jayla. You're so true. Like, that's so true. And it's accurate. But we have to plant a new seed in those people. We have to just show them. Like, much like I think now I've been so frustrated with my dead father, like lingering around trying to get me to do all these things and like help the world. And I'm like, are we really winning? Or are you just showing me this? Like, do you just think this? Like, I've been frustrated because I told y'all that this week has been really emotional for me because it usually doesn't get so super cold here. And this lady and her son, and it felt like a personal story to me, like I had already been there. Because many of y'all know I've shared that I have been homeless myself before with a child. She stole a dump truck just so she would have somewhere warm to take her child. And then on the flip side of this is somebody being so happy that their church just got $1.5 million to tear down a building and a house to build another bigger building. And it just has sat with me in a really disturbing manner because I think, how many families, how many people could I actually feed with $1.5 million if I had it? And my husband assures me that that's a small job. He works construction. And he's assured me that that is a small number. So today my message is this. Don't give up. Do not give up. We have come too far. We have done the hard work. We have put in the work to heal ourselves and hold time and space for each other to heal. We've revoked consent. We are doing everything that we can do, and we have to keep doing it. We have to keep choosing. And now is not, look, my pecan tree has been telling me, conserve your energy. Conserve your energy. You're going to need it. Just rest and conserve because beautiful new beginnings await us in spring. I said it way back 2 summers ago. And not knowing, not realizing that the message was for today. This happens sometimes to me, like where I have given messages like years in advance, and then when I go back, they're for today. And so here's what you have to be aware of, okay? So I'm like being frustrated with my dad, and I'm saying, just help me. I have the counsel and I have my dad, other people who have had these experiences, some of them still have connections and some of them are removed. And if I didn't have those connections, I don't know if I would still have the power to keep going. They have an understanding that the truth is coming, that if you're prepared for this, if you're prepared, if you have prepared yourself and you've healed yourself and you've given yourself the same amount of love and grace and compassion that you give so freely to others, you're going to be fine. But then when all the truths come out and all the people who have chose to lay under that rotten tree and give it their love and time and attention and energy, and then they look up and realize how rotten it really is, there are going to be people who need us. There are going to be people who look for the pecan tree after they notice that. You have to be that. You have to be a steady, constant, loving light. And I know it's hard. Look, I'm surrounded by people who don't think like me, who think that a wall is some shiny new thing, and it disgusts me. And where they think it's okay to give a church $1.5 million and then lock the doors and let people go hungry. And all the light workers, this whole collective, this whole group has the ability to heal this earth and let her heal. Holding time and space for her. Holding time and space and having deep intention. The mom, I can't even tell y'all this. The mom is in jail and her child has been taken away from her because she couldn't provide a home. What are we doing? We can't get complacent. We cannot be silent. When we see something wrong, we have to say it. We have to stop it. I can't. I'm sorry, y'all. I try to hold myself together for y'all. But I'm half human too, you know? I have a human heart. And I've been in those situations. And I think to myself, like, what if the officer that pulled me over didn't have offer me the same grace and compassion? Know your rights. Know that you have a responsibility to bring in light and love. And if that makes it unsafe for you, we all have to stick together. We have the power. We hold the power. What we have been forgetting is that they work for us. Take back your power. People want to talk about democracy, but we were founded as a republic. And when they asked Benjamin Franklin, what did he write? He answered, a republic, if you can keep it. It's time to get back to our purpose and our mission. We were put here in this time and space for exactly this. Do not let yourself get discouraged by the people around you or by what you're seeing. It's more important now than ever. You cannot get complacent. You cannot remain silent. We all have a responsibility. I'm going to talk to you about my children. Really quickly, because my dad said that this might help someone today. Whenever I have always had a hard time disciplining my children. And what I mean by that is that I love my children so very much, but I am not a disciplinarian. I think that love can conquer any bad behavior. I think talking to someone with love and grace and compassion it's always worked for me. It takes longer. It takes a lot longer to correct than just if you were to probably spank someone. I know it takes longer, but that doesn't mean it doesn't correct the behavior. I'm reading your comments now. I'm sorry I got to talking, but listen. It doesn't matter how we choose to discipline. It just matters that we love someone enough to do it. We all have different ideas of how that should happen. But I know the big part of it is not... Look, it's been hard for me. This message has been conflicting. And I've had to sit with it before I understood it. So now I'm telling you, I have a clear idea of what this message is. This is a different kind of revolution. This is, as Miss Connie coined it so brilliantly, an evolution revolution. And I've always known, and I've told y'all time and time again, that there will be no more sacrificial lambs or martyrs, because that never creates sustainable change. I listened to this after pleading with my dad to give me something to work with in the council last night. I said, I'm one person. And they said, no, you are many. You are all. So is everyone else. That's what we're forgetting. So when we may feel like just one person, we have to understand that we are many. We are all. I can't tell you enough how important it is to be yourself right now. This is the message. And maybe it's been one that I've said before, but it's one that the council gave to me. Recognize and understand the universal law of interconnectedness of all life. Every action, no matter how small, ripples throughout the world in ways that we may not see, but are deeply felt. Choose empathy over division, collaboration over isolation, and mindfulness over haste. The planet and its ecosystems, the people and cultures that share it, are all part of a delicate web that sustains life. Stewardship, care, and compassion are not just virtues. They are imperative for your survival. You are the custodians of this world, and each choice you make will echo into the future. Let your legacy be one of harmony, respect, and love for all. So I want to say that you will hear many people talking about different timelines and how you need to be on the right side of history. And like I've heard this in a lot of spiritual people. And it's something that I've even said before. So how do we do that? How do we make sure that we're on the right side of history? Because we all know who writes the history. So that's how we need to be on the right side. We have to know that the victory is already ours. You have to understand that you are more powerful than anyone wants you to know. I'm getting this back out today too because my dad has made me aware of how powerful the consent revocation is. We're going to do it again. And as many, look, this is all I have. So this is what I'm sharing with you all. Whenever, it's breaking my heart to watch people decide to lay under and nap under that rotten tree and think that one person is going to save us. Or, listen, I'm here to tell you, you are the saviors. You are the creators. And it's important that you understand and accept and take this back. Acceptance is a hard thing because we're taught that it's wrong to feel like you're important. But let me tell you something. If you've ever read The Art of War, you will know that part of a plan is to let them think that you are insufficient or not as superior. So let's let them think that we're in our place. Okay? We're in our place over here. We can't do anything about it, can we? We can't do anything, right? Or can we? We need to know our rights. And you have to be sure to not get complacent. And don't be someone who just lets things go. I'm going to show you this picture because today this is another thing that I was led to say. This is my Aunt Gertie with her, the love of her life. I don't know if y'all can see. She was in the Army. And she always had to hide herself, make herself less, make her superiors think that she was inferior. But she was a powerful woman and she made through so much. And I know that if they can do it, then we can too. Because here's what I want to tell you. When we realize that we have all the ancestors behind us and they want us to be successful, all the land spirits, Mother Earth herself, Gaia, whatever you need to name her, I think she's too grand to be named. They're all of that energy is behind us, waiting for us to stand firm in our authenticity and know that we are powerful beings. We're about to do a contract revocation for healing, evolution, and removal of unknowing consent. Before we do this, I want you to understand that you can't just think that this might work for you. You have to know deep within yourself that this has been given to us by all of our ancestors. My father was, for the most part, a very undereducated man. He didn't know how to read or write, so this is their doing. This is them coming to us and saying, look, things have been done that you don't even know about, that are keeping you in the same place. And it's time to step up and know that we're behind you and we're rooting for you and all the land spirits, the Father, the Mother. We are all behind you right now, waiting on you to take creation into your own hands. We are waiting on you to write new historical stories that will be told for future generations to come. We're waiting on you to make new traditions. We're waiting on you to take back power. So right now, I ask all of you to hold this time and space and attention and focus and energy and love right now with me, and know that when we do this, we choose to take back our power. We choose to heal ourselves, to evolve, and we remove any consent that has been put upon us unknowingly, or that we've agreed to, or that our ancestors agreed to. And you have to know, without a shadow of a doubt, that this holds power and gravity. And this is the thing that will bring that truth forward. But you have to keep choosing it. You can't get complacent. And you have to remember that when we do this, it's done. And you have to accept that it's done. We can't go back to watching these programs that are being put on for us. We have to move forward. We have to write new stories. Not to forget the old ones. Not to forget where we messed up. But to remember where we went right. Where we chose the right path. So right now, let's stay together right now. Hold time and space for me. Give me one moment, please. I am harnessing all the energy I have. And I know as observers, you watching me today, with the power and the energy of all the spirits on this great earth, and all the land spirits that exist and have existed, every inhabitant of this earth that has existed millennia before us comes with us right now to say this contract revocation for complete healing, evolution, and removal of unknowing consent. I, Erica Northam-Smith, today, along with this group and this collective of people, hereby revoke all agreements, contracts, and permissions, whether explicit or implicit, that we have unknowingly or unconsciously entered into in this lifetime or any other, which have allowed the imposition of negative programs, energies, or influences upon our being. By the power of our divine will and inherent sovereignty, we cancel and dissolve all bindings, vows, or oaths that no longer serve our highest good. We release ourselves from all limiting or harmful beliefs and agreements that restrict our healing, our growth, and our evolution. We now sever any connections to any force, system, or entity that has sought to manipulate, control, or limit our full potential, whether through fear, guilt, shame, or any other program. We call back We all call back all of our energy, power, and essence that has been taken from us knowingly or unknowingly to be restored to us in balance, peace, and alignment with our truest selves. We stand in our full power and declare that we are the sovereign creators of our experience. We embrace our healing and evolution, and we step forward into a space of freedom, clarity, and self-love. With gratitude and clarity, we now invoke our highest selves, our guides, and the divine to support our process of healing, clearing, and restoring our true essence, free from any past entanglements. We ask now that any contracts or programs that are not of our highest good to be neutralized, erased, and dissolved in all timelines, dimensions, and realities. And so it is. We're not going to get discouraged. We win this. We are already the victors. There will be light and love and peace on this earth. There will be enough food that people can afford to eat. Healthy foods that are not poisoned with neurotoxins and endocrine disruptors and plastics and pesticides. There will be harmony restored to our earth and her people. All of the ancients are behind us. All of our ancestors are behind us. And they need you to know now that you are powerful beings. You have the power to create the reality that you want. We are claiming that our communities be restored, our faith in humanity to be restored, and that we have leaders that are looking out for our best interests over profits. There will be no need for anyone to steal a dump truck off of a job to stay warm. There will be no mothers who lose their children because they will be able to afford a decent place to live, or they will have access to communities who help them build. We will not take more than we need. We will respect our mother. We will be kind and gracious and giving to her. And we will go back to understanding the cyclical natures of the earth and history, so this is never repeated again. I claim this now, today, with the energy of your ancestors behind me. There will be no more talk of New Earth because New Earth is here. And it's for all of our highest goods. Because when we choose the highest good for ourselves, we choose it for everyone else. If you want to talk about manifesting, the earth doesn't want you to focus on the lottery right now. The earth is telling us and crying and shaking and begging. Please listen to her. Please know that there will be no more divisions. There will be no more right or left or up or down. We were always made to stay united and connected. And we were always made to celebrate and cherish each other's cultures. Because when we come together, we form a complete circuit of energy. when we separate, when we are separated by silly differences. I'm saying silly because it's silly. It is so silly. When we're separated by silly differences, then it leads to destruction. Time and time again. It's the fourth turning all over again. History cycles in and out. So it's time to change and shake it up. I'm going to talk about the 4 original tribes of earth. Well, now there are 5. Now there's a 5th turning. A new way forward. We're not going to look back anymore. We know now that this comes down to trusting your intuition. And so how can I say this? Look, okay, there are people all around me who I'm like, do they have intuition? Do they see? Can they not see what I see? Are they not concerned by the things that concern me? No. But they're still part of me. And there comes a point where you have to accept and love those people regardless of their thoughts, opinions, and differences. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Because you think, I know what you all think. How can these people go against their best interests? Like, how are they doing this? It's because we have been so programmed to look for a savior outside of ourselves. We have been so programmed and so deep in a system that has taught us. And if I had not had a hard reset in the form of death, I would still be one of those people. So you have to understand that I have an awareness of this, but some people will not be allowed to see this. Christ consciousness is New Earth. It is knowing that you are a creator, that you have the power and a direct source, a direct line to your creator, a direct, renewable, energetic source. Let's move away from things that are not renewable. And religion always puts someone in the middle between us and the Creator. So listen, some people will lay under that rotting tree and nap, like Jayla said. And we have to be okay with their choice. We have to understand that they can't see what we see. It's not entirely their fault. But truth will still come out. You will bear witness to great truth coming out. And this, I was shown that this will be so much that it literally makes some people explode. Like, I don't know if that happens quite literally or heart attacks or what. But my father showed me that when all these truths and everything is revealed that has been done in the name of democracy and the name of science and the name of everything, history, the truths will be too much for some to handle. And when it smacks them in the face or punches them in the throat and puts them on their knees, they're still going to be looking for an external savior. So then it will be your choice whether you want to help that person or not. But we all have a responsibility. We all have this responsibility. Light and love. Look, my mama used to say, kill them with kindness. And I thought, she is so dumb. Like, how long does that take? And I spent my whole life Yes, the exploding is the bad trees and the people who are napping under the bad tree thinking it's going to save them. And look, I'm coming to you today as the pecan tree and saying, I want you all to have this awareness that we don't have to feed that rot anymore. We don't have to nurture that anymore. We don't have to give it our time and attention because we have young saplings on our land. We have younger trees on our land trying to thrive and grow. And if we keep feeding that rot, guess what? It depletes our energy source. So we need to communicate in the way that trees do, underground, in a system, a vascular system, and understand that we have to make other people aware of the things that you see. Doesn't mean that they're going to hear you or see you. But if you plant a seed, then sometimes that's enough. I'll give you a for instance in my own personal life. I have someone that I love and even respect. But she is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from me. She thinks completely different. And I know it's because she grew up with this. It's all she's ever known. She hasn't had that hard reset. She came to me and she said, I see what's happening in California, and if you want my opinion about it, I think, and I already had this dream, so I knew it was coming, but it still kind of baffled me that anyone could say this. She said to me, I've seen what's happening in California, and if you want to know my opinion about it, I think it's God taking care of all the liberal people and all the things that have been going on evil out there. So on the flip side of that, I said, wow, that's an interesting perspective. So how do you feel about all the people who voted for Trump and that are Republicans, good Christians in North Carolina and East Tennessee? Did your God do that? Well, so that's a seed, isn't it? That was a big seed. That was maybe bigger than I needed to go, but I went there. And you may have to also. Look, I'm going to show you how my dad showed me. There's a web of consciousness, okay? Like, he showed me that it exists outside of us. And I don't know how that works. I'm not a quantum physicist. I don't understand. I know how neural pathways work, but I'm just telling you what he showed me. He showed me this web. And it runs all across, like, this whole place. If you can see that, maybe not. Anyway, y'all seen a map before. It runs across this whole entire place. It's a wide web. Okay? And when someone like myself or you has a thought, a clever thought, or an epiphany or a revelation that has been given to us, and we speak it into existence, it then goes into this web. And then it allows other people to pull from this web. Mycelium. Okay, yeah. So I'm just explaining it the way that I was shown. So then it creates this little idea. And this is the reason that across continents we have the same tools at the same time, but we're millions of miles apart. So this web is like not a literal web. It's just like this idea that waves can float on. And then if you're an open channel, if you're open to receiving, then you will get those little intuitions or those little thoughts, those little whispers. And that's magic within itself. You have to listen to that. I hope I'm not making y'all sick walking. I'm being pacing today. Anyway. So then people can grab onto those ideas. And so it still happens too, though, that whenever someone has an epiphany on the wrong side or the dark side, that can go up into that web too. And also, now the people that we call elites or billionaires have been made aware of this growing movement and this growing consciousness. So they are now trickling little half-truths and lies into that web of ours. So that's why I've said it's extremely important what you intake, what you consume. Look, I haven't been able to watch TV in about 5 years, and I do doom scroll sometimes, as we all do. But now that even has to be, look, I've had a really, I hope I'm not bringing y'all down with my message today, because it's designed to be one of hope. But I have had this external realization that life is tough. Life can be tough. And, things can happen sometimes, and we look around and we think, why is all this stuff happening to me? But if we flip the script and we say, no, this is happening for me. This is happening. This is my time to shine. This is my time to stand up for someone who doesn't have a voice. This is my time to stand and hold my power and my own. I understand that many of us have a privilege as white people. I understand that. And I'm going to use my privilege with great responsibility. And now that I'm a woman, I may not have a voice anymore. But that's not going to matter. Because I'm telling y'all, when you learn to take pain and turn it into power and purpose, and when you turn fear into action, that is when you transcend. That is ascension itself. And we are, yes, thank you, Ms. Stone. We are made to feel all of our feelings, even the ones that bring us to our knees. They're there for purpose. I remember I shared a journal entry from whenever I was on hospice, and I said, the feelings are there for a reason. I don't remember all the feelings. I'm not going to go back to that journal today. But all the feelings are there. If they are remaining constant, then look to see where that is coming from. If it is a fear, then go deeper and know, where's that fear coming from? Is it uncertainty? Because I can tell you there's nothing uncertain in this world. Because you are the creator. You have the power. And to help you out on this journey, we have this universal law of interconnectedness. And we have to understand that when we are all connected and we hold time and space for each other, then that creates more power. Thank you for that. Listen, I have been really not been able to be quiet about this. I made a promise that I would talk about everything that I saw and everything that keeps coming up. My dad is desperately trying to make us all understand what's happening. So I think it's time that I'm really honest with y'all. And I'm just going to be very blunt so you have a direct understanding. Because I have been making poems and having subtle hints here and there. And it needs to be said. My dad has made me aware of things that happen in our world and in our existence that none of us would ever be okay with. My dad has taken me to some deplorable places. And then he has also shown me that what we are able to see is not what we should be focusing on. We should not be focusing on what they show us or what they program to you. Those channels need to be stopped and cut off. I'm thinking about my favorite singer-songwriter, John Prine. He had a song, Blow Up Your TV. Move to the country and eat a lot of peaches. And he also had a song that said, some humans ain't human. And when I think about how accurate all those songs are, there holds such messages in those songs, but they went over some people's heads, right? So here it is. I'm going to be very direct today, and I'm allowed to say this now. My dad worked at an ammunition plant. He worked at Lockheed Martin, and he was uneducated. I was essentially swapped. I was essentially used and abused. And my dad had no idea of this. He had, the family historian said that my dad had came and had some concerns. But Lockheed Martin made my dad sign all of these non-disclosure agreements. And when he signed all those non-disclosure agreements, he was uneducated and he had no idea. So when he brought up the fact, I told him some things that were happening to me. I told my dad, and my mom didn't believe me. But my dad had this ability to see me and know that I was speaking truth. And he went to somebody to try to correct this. And they told him that if he said anything, he would lose his job. He would be blacklisted. I would be taken away from him. I would be taken away from my mom. And they would be living in abject poverty for the rest of his life. So he didn't feel like he had any choice at that time. Now, I know that he died early so he could show me these things. There are things being done to people and children that the whole world needs to be aware of. And the truth is coming. The more that we all talk about it, and the more that we understand it. So I'm going to tell you that my dad had to have clearance at his job, security clearance. And one day, he walked into this situation where what y'all would call an alien was being held and tortured for information, for technological advances. And this was very disturbing to my dad. That any human could treat any other being the way that that being was being treated. And it's what you call a lot of y'all call aliens, but now you'll come to understand them as ancients. And my dad never knew I was an ancient. I was identified as a young child and put into these programs, and he didn't understand how I could be because I didn't look like the being that he saw. So then my dad comes to me at the time of my death and shows me that he didn't know any better, that they made it impossible. How do you go up against a trillionaire company? How do you as an individual go against a corporation, a big corporation at that? How do you go against that? My dad didn't know. And I'm telling you that a lot of us, you may not have any memory of it, but what happened is the earth, humans got destroyed on the planet time and time again. And there were agreements made. And thank you for that, yes. So listen, I feel like I've told y'all more today than I have been, but it had to wait till the right time. And it had to be okay. And it had to be a time where I knew I could speak without causing fear. Because I know that our human brains are manipulated and designed and wired to go to fear. That was an instinct that kept us alive in the very beginning. So it is a hardwired natural response for humans and hybrids, if ancients, to have this instinctual fear. It used to serve a purpose. It no longer does. And I know I may have lost some people who have been with me for a long time today. Maybe I haven't. But I know for a fact that it was time to speak this story. Because I was reminded by a friend of mine that sometimes when you share your story, it opens a platform for others to share theirs, where they might have been fearful to say something before. Remember to heal. To be heard is to heal. We are healing right now together as you speak the truth. Thank you for that. Thank you for that confirmation. Look, I've often said to y'all, I no longer need affirmations or like acceptance from anyone. But I know that this story is important and you need to understand and you need to prepare yourself for the wildest story that you can even imagine. Prepare yourself to hear that and receive it with open ears and open eyes. And know that everything is not always as it appears. Their ancients have been walking this earth for millennia. And they have never wanted to cause any harm to any individual. They only had ancient wisdom and knowledge. They may have looked different than us, but they are future versions of ourselves that are trying to save humanity. So, okay, that's interesting. Okay, Witty Otter, thank you, Miss Joan. Thank y'all for hearing me and receiving my truth and knowing that it has taken me a while to be able to get to say this. I sit with a lot of things that I don't tell everyone about because I made those promises when I got to come back. When I got saved again, like whenever I was put back on earth, I made very specific promises and I try to always honor and respect those. And so sometimes I have to wait until I know it's okay to say that. So let me tell you something about this. Witty Otter, you bring up a point. I don't fear death. I fear being separated from the family created here. So here's the cool thing about this, is that we have soul contracts with people. And even if, okay, so this, you can leave little fractals of yourself with other people. We are more than our bodies. We are billions of fractals of light and energy. And when we die, we can leave parts of ourselves, little slivers of ourselves, and our consciousness and our being with the people that we love. And that's been an important part of my message, to be open to that communication. Because oftentimes in religion, we're told that necromancy is wrong. Like I was told this as a child because I used to talk to dead people. And my mother thought I was possessed. She thought there was something wrong with me. She didn't understand why I would be talking to dead people. And so I want to tell you now that you are never gone from your family. There are people, specific people, and even sometimes pets that we have soul contracts with. And we are reunited with them time and time again. And what's so cool about it is parts of their energy can always be with us, no matter if we're dead, if we're alive. Our consciousness survives us. So, and our energy survives us. I hope that makes sense. You don't need to fear from that either, because you can literally go to your family members. But the hard thing is that some family members are shut off to this. So here's a for instance, okay? So I've told this before too. Like when I died, I went to my children and I said to them, all of them, think of me like the wind. You won't be able to grasp me or hug me, but you will be able to experience me and you will know that I'm there. You will have an awareness of me there. And so I'm like maybe even a month after I died and had time to process everything, because every aspect of my life had changed after that experience. I remember asking my children, did you feel me? Did you get my message? And I remember how hard it was to go to them and how much energy it took to keep talking and repeating myself. I felt like I was just screaming and no one could hear me. And so finally, my son looked at me. And my daughter never acknowledged me. My 17-year-old daughter never acknowledged me. And my 3-year-old had a perfect, or now even whenever my dad comes, I know how much energy it takes for him. So she talks to him. And I can feel my dad. I can experience my dad. I know he's here. He talks to me. But I am an open receiver. I'm an open channel. I'm open to that because I have felt that. I asked my son and my daughter both later, could they not hear me? And my son said, I thought I felt you and I felt the wind. So don't ever fear about being separated from your family, because you can, if they're open to still communicating with you, you have the full capacity to do that. Okay, I'm reading. So, listen, I'll just tell y'all that it is real. It takes a lot of energy and effort for our ancestors and for our elders and for even the land energy and the trees to communicate with us. That is magic. When you're open to receiving that, look, and I don't want you to think it's this over the top thing where you can hear audibly or you can feel them, or part of the message has always been be childlike, because when we grow up, we've had all this indoctrination and this programming to make us think that we just have an overactive imagination. Like, I can't remember how many times my mother told me that. Like, I would see people or spirits or energies, and I would speak to them, and she would say, oh, you just have an overactive imagination. So that gets shut down, right? Like, there's a part of us that just tells ourselves that as our internal dialogue. We start saying, oh, well, I don't really see that. I don't really feel that. It must be my imagination. So there's an important part of opening up your ability to play and imagine, because they communicate in those ways. And you don't get, like, audible voices. You get, like, some people call it downloads, or little whispers, or these little thoughts that you think, oh, that would be something that my dad would like, or that would be something that my mom would say. So you get little whispers like that, and little ideas that they might be around you, and they are. And so one of the things that I used for an example is, like, the year after my dad died. He died April 15th, and my birthday was May. And so just a few weeks had passed by, and I was driving home from work, and I thought, my dad really made my birthday special. My birthday will never be the same. And about that time, I looked up into the clouds, and I saw a birthday cake with candles. And I thought, nah, I'm overstretching. I'm having an overactive imagination. And so, when I died, my dad asked me, did you never get the birthday cake and candles I sent to you? And then I realized I had not been open enough to receive those downloads or that information. Yeah, so, see, this is interesting, Cool Breeze. My daughter right now has an imaginary friend who was a daughter in her past life. And she had a nickname for her daughter, and she called her Biddy, her Biddy baby. And so Biddy is in our house all the time. And I never tell my daughter that that's wrong to talk to Biddy, because I can imagine, like, how if you did have to leave a daughter or a child behind, that you would still want them to be in your life. So I always, I don't encourage that, but I accept it as hers. So okay, y'all need to keep talking to your ancestors, and you can offer them things. Like, and think about, it doesn't have to be anything big. Miss Joan reminded me of this. It can be small, because to the energy, it's big. Just the intention of you giving them something back for their messages and their time and all the energy that they expended to be with you. So it can be something small, like their favorite candy, and now I just grew up doing this, like offering things to the land. Like when we would go fishing, I thought everyone did this until I told someone recently about it, and they said not everyone grew up like that. So before we would go fishing, my dad would ask the land if we could be there today, and if it was okay that we take fish and not take any more than we needed, and that they be with us as we fish and help us and guide us and know what we can take and what we need to leave. So that's something. I love that, Heather. Thank you for sharing that. That's important. You're an open channel for them. So that's really important that we be open. Okay, because sometimes we can, we can forget that we need to ask permission to the land. But she's our mother. Something without asking someone else, we wouldn't. She is a being. She is an energy. She is a life force. So, oftentimes we would, I think about this, like, my mama's purse, like, I was always taught, you don't go in your mama's purse and get something out of there, even if it is your mama's purse. Like, you just don't go in somebody else's purse. And I think about that as the land. Like, so we do, I'm not saying this is for everybody, but this is something that I have done. I bless my land by using intention and words and giving her love. And this year I had the largest pecan harvest that I've ever had. So, I mean, there's something to that whenever you give gratitude and thanks, and the land takes care of us. And when people find out that it was never meant to be this hard, like I think back to my pecan tree often, and I think about how much energy and how much life force she was given to that rotten tree. And then when she made all of the others aware on the land about it, to stop feeding it, to stop giving it energy, because now we have saplings that we need to nourish and take care of. I think about that a lot, because that analogy is just like perfect to what we are seeing right now. And I know that that's the earth giving me a message back, because I have come to her with a grateful heart, and I have not ever taken more than I needed. Trees do love us, and they want a connection with us. All of the energies on the lands. We've got to get back to where we know magic is real, and that we can use the magic and the energy to change the things that we so desperately want to change. Together, when we seek great change, we see great change. So we need to take care of each other, and we need to communicate and make an awareness to all of our trees. And remember, it's okay whenever something no longer serves our highest good to let that go. That's a hard lesson. I oftentimes draw from my own life experiences, and I remember, like, when I was growing up, like, if I started something, then my mom would always make me finish it. It didn't matter if I hated it, but I had a responsibility to that team. And my daughter was dealing with a really toxic basketball coach, and he was explosive, and he was diminishing, he was degrading, he was just all of the things that you don't want your child to be exposed to. And I remember she came to me and she said, I really feel like I need to quit. And now with the lessons that I had growing up, you don't ever quit a team. Like, you have a responsibility to that team. And she taught me a lesson in this, because she said, you also need to know when to walk away. And then we can take a note from nature too in this. Like, you need to know, we've all been in an abusive relationship with the elites. This is not a prison planet. Earth has always been abundant and given us everything that we needed to survive. And yet there have been people who take more and more and more and don't leave enough for the rest of us. So what I'm trying to say today is know that the universe will give us what we need. The earth will continue to nourish us as she tries to heal herself. Healing is not a pretty journey. Whenever you look at it, whenever you see somebody healing from the outside in, it never looks pretty. I think about the times that I watched my brother go through withdrawals as he tried to heal himself, and how nasty that looked. How hard that was to watch. But the earth, my friends, is healing. And I've met Jesus. If you want to talk about Jesus, we can go there. But if you're not ready for the truth, don't ask me about Jesus. Don't ask me. I'm trying to read all y'all's comments as I'm in here, but I met Jesus and I've met the Creator. So if you want to talk about it, let's go there. I know that. Okay. So y'all want to know about Jesus. Is he coming back? No. Look. Jesus has already been on the earth. Historical Jesus is real. But he is not the picture that was on my Meemaw's kitchen wall. He is not a white, blue-eyed man. Jesus was a Middle Eastern man that looks like the people that many of y'all are trying to ship off. Not many, not us, but I'm just saying, Jesus was an ascended master. He sat in this place where thousands of ascended masters have been. And they come in the names of like Buddha and Mohammed, Mary. There's so many. Michael, Thomas. There are so many ascended masters. Yeshua. So, all of these ascended masters all had the same message. There are ascended masters. There are ancients right now living on earth, yes. And they look like me and you. They walk, they have families, they speak with light and love and truth. And they want to help people. They want to make people aware of the rot that is draining the very life energy off of this planet. Jesus and all of the ascended masters are unconditional love. They never wanted to be worshipped or followed. And in fact, many of the ascended masters were very uneducated, illiterate people. And that's the reason that they're so ticked off at us, because they're one true message and they all come from a common point of origin. They all had the same message, and it was a message of defiance and rebellion and love. And here's what I'm going to say about this. When Jesus turned the other cheek, it was not an act of passiveness. It was an act of defiance to say, is that all you've got? So sit with me here today and hear this truth. No one, no president, no leader, no aliens that you think of in the sky are coming to save you. So don't get complacent. Don't be silent. And know that you were always made to create the reality that you want. You are the Savior. You are the sovereign creator of your own experience. Jesus and all of the ascended masters are a little ticked off because and it doesn't mean that they still don't love us, because we can love our children and still be mad at them. Time and time again, they said, don't pay these people. You are directly connected to Source. You are directly connected to that energy. Don't pay people for that. Don't let them tax you. Don't let them tithe you. You have that connection. You just have to look for it and be open to it. Love yourself enough that you're open to it. Love yourself enough to realize that you are the creator. Jesus will come back in the form of Christ consciousness. And what does that mean? It means that we are all made in the image of the creator of all things. We are the creators. We were made to create the reality. I've tried to be really respectful about religion, because I once held on to religion tightly and clung to it as a saving grace, to know that no matter what I did wrong, I could repent and Jesus would save me. Jesus caused bullshit on me. He said, Erica, no, you can't do whatever you want. You're responsible for yourself, honey. You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. Whenever you stop looking for an external source to save you, whenever you are responsible for yourself, it makes you more aware of everything that's going on around you. I'm telling y'all today, it's time. It's time to wake up. It's time to know that you are powerful and magical, and you can create magic all around you. And it's not like what we've seen on TV. It doesn't come in the form of moving things with your mind or bending reality or telekinesis or telepathy. Those things all exist. But magic happens every day all around you. Sin is not a thing. And I'm going to tell you this. I had a hard time with this, because when I went to the dimension where I met my dad first, I wanted to be taken to someone who had done really deplorable, abhorrent things on earth to a child. And I wanted to see that person burning in eternal flames like I thought, okay? So here I go to what I'm thinking is going to be in eternal damnation, hellfire, and brimstone. And I'm taken to this cold, dark, damp, dirty place. And I immediately know that this is not hell that I've been told about. So I ask, why is this man not in hell? And so, anyway, I'm shown that at his exit interview, he felt and had every pain that he had ever caused to any child or any person on that earth. He felt that in physical form, so he felt that. And he had to, it wasn't a judgment day, it was an exit interview. So think about this, like if you sit with yourself and you have a spirit team, okay? And at the time of your spirit team is a word that I'm stuck with because there's nothing else, a God team. And they have been with you throughout this lifetime. And at the time of your death, you meet these spirit guides. I'll say that loosely, okay? Just know that words fail me at times. Words are insufficient. So when you meet this spirit team or God team, they say, here's your life. And they show you your life in a second. You see all of it. You feel all of it. You feel all the good and bad that you've done. And then you have to face yourself. No one else comes to judge you. You face yourself. And they ask you, what could you have done better on this planet? What do you think you could have done better to have a better life and a better human experience? So then this information goes into this library and these records of all human experience and all human time. And this adds to a growing collective library. So then at that time, he had a choice to admit, which he saw now that he had done wrongdoings. And they asked him what his punishment or his restrictions should be. And since he felt that pain that he caused to everyone else, and his spirit team, his guides, had to agree with him on these terms and these conditions. So he will have to remain in that lower dimension for 200 years before he has the chance to reincarnate. And that was the agreed upon kind of like, I don't want to say judgment. It was something that he himself chose. And the guide team agreed that that was a reasonable thing. It's not spiritual jail. It's a lower dimension. And he can still, if he saw what he had done wrong, if he had not saw what he'd done wrong, his punishment would have been longer. So we all will have to answer to anything that we'll feel everything that we've done here on earth. And it happens in a split second. So it's like an exit interview for your job. All the God people that you have on your team sit with you at that exit interview. And they are essentially your energetic peers. It's like a peer-to-peer review, kind of. Yes, even, okay, I believe you because when I tried to take my own life, I saw that dark, dirty place spiraling down. Thank you for sharing that hope. Love your enemies. Even when you are in the dark place, the Creator still sends angels down to see if you learn. It's about learning the lessons necessary for our ascension. I agree with this totally. So I asked to go see that person. And then I was taken up and I wanted to see Jesus because I had devoted my whole life to Jesus. And I thought that he was the creator of all things. I thought he was God. And so when I saw that he sat with these other people who are reincarnated on this earth at this time, but they are there also. We are multi-interdimensional beings. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but there we are. Y'all can have that. So listen. When I went and saw that, and that made me ask questions because that was not the hell that I had been told about. So then I wanted to see Jesus. I got taken there, and then I was like, in between all of these dimensions are lights, shapes, patterns, codes, numbers, letters, things I still don't know what they all meant. I have written down everything that I can remember and like wrote incessantly for a year and a half about everything that I was shown, so I could try to understand it. And I knew it would also be important for future dates. And when I say dates, I don't mean like I can tell you what's going to happen on a certain date, because there are different timelines. And like I remember I've been so frustrated with my dad this week actually, because I said, if you want me to save humanity, give me something. Give me lottery numbers. Give me something I can work with, because I don't have money. All I have is my time and energy, and I'm one person. So give me something. And he gave me the law of interconnectedness. And he also said that Earth has free will, and there are an infinite number of variables. So think about that. Earth and outcomes can change at any time. What changes that? Our time, focus, attention, and energy can actually affect outcomes. Okay, I'm reading. What is your spiritual opinion of autism? Do you think non-verbal children are telepathic? Listen, so I've said this before, and I will say it again, and I say it very carefully, because I know that some of the things that I say will not sit well with some people. But I also want you to know, if I don't ever know an answer to something, I will tell you I don't know. So here's what I do know, okay? I know for a fact that we are all made to be different. There are gifts that we all have. We are actually all, I don't know if this is going to make sense to everybody. We all have abilities. We all have gifts. We all have things that we don't know how to access anymore because we've been so far removed from it. So what I know about this is that when your senses, when there's one sense taken away, just like in blindness, your hearing becomes more heightened. So if your speech is taken away, your brain has the ability to form neural pathways in a way that are, yes. Yes, okay? Look, I can't tell y'all enough. Like, I know that we all have gifts and we all have power, and we've been so far removed from that. We've been so far removed from thinking that we need to talk to the land. We need to ask permission for the land. We need to, we don't need to talk to our ancestors. And all of this is the wrong way of thinking. All of these things keep us inferior. So if you want to be your highest, best, truest self, here's what you need to do. You need to be open to understanding that magic can be subtle. And sometimes it can just be about alchemizing your emotions. And what I mean by that is whenever you can transmute pain and when you can transmute pain into power and purpose, and whenever you can take fear and transmute it and transcend that and turn it into action. So we all have superpowers. We all have powers that need to be reaccessed and reunited with. There are different versions of us on different timelines. I totally don't understand it. So, yeah, it's something that I really don't talk about too often because it's hard to understand how we could be everywhere all at once. But the more that you realize, if you go look up, and I use this all the time, but if you look up how honeybees see humans, and you see all the tiny little billions of fractals of light, it's not hard to imagine that you could be elsewhere. That you could exist in a different form somewhere else. Sometimes I think we choose a more difficult life so that we can grow and ascend quicker. This is totally possible. So Shannon says, I've had telepathic experiences lately. So I want to tell you something. I have been communicating with people telepathically for the last year. And I've been allowed to do this to help with ascension. And we all need to rediscover that gift, because there will be practice it with the people that you spend the most time with, and it only works with the people that you spend the most time with. And so how you're probably wondering, like, how can I communicate telepathically with other people that are not close to me? I'm telling you, this is a starting point for you to understand. If y'all have listened to the telepathy tapes, then you understand that it's usually like someone you spend a lot of time with. And that is because you're in sync. Your vibrations are aligned to where your channel is a direct line. Intuition is a superpower. Look, I'm telling y'all, it's something that y'all don't even understand. But there is a whole neural network inside your gut lining. So that's what, when people say that gut feeling, there's a reason that your gut is talking to your brain, and you need to listen to it. Okay. Okay, so don't your children share your aura until they are around 7. which is why mothers are so intuitive. Something very similar to this. This doesn't describe it perfectly, but yes, look, babies don't even see themselves independently of their mothers until they're like 9 months old or something like that. I forget the exact number, but we need to rediscover why intuition is there and its purpose. And to practice that, you can sit down with somebody and start with something simple like colors, or but don't just, it won't work if you were just envisioning it in your mind. You need to see it. And why this is so important is because there has to be an observer. It changes something. So that's another thing why we've done this consent revocation thing so many times, because there need to be observers, because it changes the energy. It can change the path. So when you start with colors or numbers 1 through 10, and start with like primary colors or something, put them on a card, and then look at that card and try to communicate that to your partner or whoever you spend time with, like your children, whatever. And you will be amazed if you do that experiment yourself and start working on your telepathic abilities. Sometimes I will tell you that shutting off one of your senses can be helpful in regaining this and rediscovering this. So if you look at something and then put headphones on so you're not hearing, it makes it stronger. So there's that. Think about DNA. Mothers have their children's DNA in them forever. So that's a start to that connection. I can't remember my dreams. Can you help? I've been told I'm blocked. Okay. So here's what I'm going to tell you all today. Our dreams are important. And you need to find out why. Who has told you you've been blocked? Has that come from your dreams? Because sometimes, and I'll tell you from experience, my God team has shut dreams off to protect me. Sometimes I am told not to astral project. Sometimes I'm told not to travel. So you have to listen to the universe, a spiritually gifted friend, okay? So all you need to do is ask why you are being blocked. Because right now, some spiritual people are being told to conserve and shut down. And they are not getting messages. They're not getting dreams or messages like they once did. And there's a good explanation for this. And I'll tell you what it is. The energies know that we're about to need all of our energy and all of our consciousness and all of our light and all of our love to work in this 3D reality that we are existing in right now. Some of us are still in it. It doesn't matter. Look, you can ask the universe to show you. And I have asked specifically, like, if you ask, this goes back to my individualized education plan. And my aunt had the wherewithal to tell me, if you ask to remember, they have to let you remember. And if there's a reason that you're being blocked and there's a reason that you are being protected, then accept that and know that it will come back. But a lot of people are having this lack of connection right now. And that's another reason that I've been here. That I keep showing up to tell you that it's not a sign of rejection. It's not a sign that you're losing connection. It's protection. Because even the strongest light beings and ancients right now are being I don't want to say that there's this spiritual warfare happening, but even the strongest, most ancient beings right now are being interfered with. So that may be a protection for you. So here's what I want to say. Like last year, maybe, I wrote this poem, maybe 2 years ago. And it was about, I don't remember what it was about, but the last line said, as leaves fall to the ground, prepare for winter and know that beautiful new beginnings await you in the spring. So, here's the main touch point of my message today. Don't fear. Don't fear anything. There is nothing for you to be afraid of. A fearful reaction makes you act in a place of a lower vibration and a lower frequency. Turn off your television if you need to do that. Turn off all the distractions and all the noise that is not serving your highest good. Know that you have revoked consent for anything that does not serve your highest and truest self. Okay, Shannon, if you feel out of alignment and you've been asking for guidance, you are aligned with me today, and hopefully you will be able to take hope and know that you are not disconnected, that you are being protected. We are all here together, and I'm here for all of you and each of you. And I truly love you unconditionally. Even if I don't know you in this lifetime, I have known you in a lifetime before. We have to realize, okay, we cannot revert or regress at this point. We have done too much work. We have done too much healing. How do you have no fear if you think it's something big enough to need protecting from? You'll discover when you're ready. Okay. Because it's nothing to fear. We've already won. We are the victors. We come out of this, and you have to understand and know that. There's nothing to fear. Death is a beautiful, sacred experience. And whether you believe in a God in heaven, or if you believe that you're an infinite, eternal being, or you believe that you're just dead when you're dead, no matter what, it doesn't matter when you die. So, I mean, listen, like, we've all signed up to be in this time, in this space, to be guiding lights for people. And I don't know if, look, sometimes that's hard to imagine. Like, did we, like, sometimes I even ask, are you sure that I should have came back for this? Like, because my dad told me, like, whenever I died, he said, you've got to go back. You have to share your story now. It's important. And he was like, there will be many of you, like, that come together and do this. And so I get it. Like, trust me, I understand. I'm telling you this message, and, like, how do you choose that? Well, here's how you know. You don't fear because you realize that everything that you're being allowed to see is nothing you need to worry about, because it's all a show. The world is, in fact, a stage. And also, we hold power. It's easy to feel like we don't have any power. Like my dad did, for example, whenever he went up against Lockheed. He was like, how do I do this? I have to give up. But now he couldn't see that in this existence, but he saw it when he died, and he was like, whoa, I've got to make this right. Okay. So how do we go up against corporations and billionaires? Well, here's how we do it. We first have to create an awareness, in which we're doing that by having this community. We create awareness. We're true to ourselves. We stay in our authentic selves, and we stay grounded. And what does that mean? We don't get caught up in distractions. We don't revert and regress to fearing. We no longer consent to being scared. We no longer consent to being inferior. We no longer consent to the things that don't serve our highest good. And when you take that pain and transmute it into purpose and power, and then that fear, turn it into action, then you have won. You personally have won the battle. No one is half the battle. Like my dad kept saying this last week to me, no one's half the battle. No one's half the battle. Well, what's the other part? Saying this last week to me, no one's half the battle. No one's half the battle. Well, what's the other part? That we don't accept anything that is not of our highest good. And so when that rotten tree continues to leach off of our land, we say no more. We're not going to give you any time and attention and energy. We're not feeding you anymore. We're not watering you anymore. You're not taking our sunlight. We will overshadow. We will overreach. We will continue connecting and communicating with the trees on our land. And we will continue nurturing our saplings at home. But we no longer will feed you, because you are not contributing to the greatest good. You are only taken from the greatest good. And then that tree starts getting desperate and starts acting out of fear itself. And that tree will reach a little further to try to gain more power and control. But guess what? We've already made an awareness all around the land. And guess what? The trees on the other land have already been told by that grandmother pecan tree with the elderberry nestled in her root system that we no longer have to feed this tree. It is only taken from us. It's the perfect analogy, the perfect time. I'm giving this all to my elders in the pecan, because without them, I would not have this message to give to you. They are powerful beings. And we are too. It's time to call it back. It's time to revoke and break that contract. If you want that contract revocation, message me and I'll send it to you. But know that you have to have an observer. It has to be observed to hold the power. And listen, it's going to be easy. Last night we went to this play, and my daughter-in-law is young, and she is terrified. She is scared. She's scared that her rights are going to be taken away, and she's watching all these things that she's being allowed to see on TV. The salute, the inauguration, the news. I want y'all to go. Shoot, I can't think of his name now. There is actually a psychologist who worked for the government whose main job was to create psyops. And he told exactly what they prey upon. And it's fear and division and control. And they have cleverly crafted this over hundreds of years. And so it's going to be really easy for you when you're around other people that you love, because you still want to spend time with them. You still have to spend time with them. You still love them. And you still outreach to them and plant little seeds that you hope will grow. It will be easy sometimes to forget that your main focus needs to be on your fruit. And it needs to be on your ideas and your flowers and your pecans, your food. And it's easy for me because I am an empath, and many of you are in this community. Many of you are creative empaths, and that's what brought us all together. So let me tell you this. As an empath, you will know that everyone else's energy around you is palpable and you can feel it. You need to protect yourselves right now by this. You need to, I'm going to tell you how to do it. If the devil don't get me choked. I'm just kidding. Y'all know I don't believe in that either. Okay, so I want to show y'all right now. So what we do is that before we go into a public space or setting or any place that you're going to be sharing energy with people, okay? Any place. So you're going to move it out of your body, get all the feelings out. And I know this is silly looking, but you shake it off. You shake all your energy, and then you protect yourself by drawing an 8 around you, okay, in front of you, 3 times. And you say, this energy is my own. I do not accept any other energy that is not my own and not of my good. Not of my highest good, okay? So we all need to be doing this because last night I forgot to do this, and I took on my daughter-in-law's fears and her energy and her worry, and we cannot do this, okay? 369, I'm protected by divine. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. I've just been shown 3. Okay, so you move all the energy around your body, your existence, and then you draw and you bring it back to you, and you say, this energy is my own, and I do not accept you push the energy that is not beneficial of your highest good off of you, away from you. Okay, I was shown this after my death, and I thought that is silly, but then it started working, and I know how important this will be coming up, okay? So you just need to trust me on that. I don't, when I feel the need to tell y'all something, I know it's important. I am being guided, and you've been aligned with me, so this is the message for y'all, okay? So, If you need me to do it again, your belief in it is what gives it power. Well, okay, I don't think this is true because I didn't think that this would work, but I've seen it work. But anyway, you shake it out, shake all your energy around, and then you do 8 in front of you, draw an 8 3 times and stop. You bring your energy back and say, this energy is my own. I do not accept any energy that is not of service and of my highest good. Okay, so, and I'll upload this on my YouTube. A lot of y'all have told me, like, I've felt the need to move over to YouTube, but I swear it is not user friendly for me. And I'm trying to figure it out, and I'll update y'all on that as soon as I get it figured out. But we're going to recap for today because I'm losing some people, and I don't want to talk too much where y'all don't want to share time and space with me just to be hearing myself talk. And so I felt like I've said everything that I need to say. So let's recap. We're powerful beings. We know this. We don't have to feed a rotten tree. And how we do that is that we spread awareness underground through our vascular network systems, and that we call back power to us, and that we understand that the universal law, which everyone has to abide by, is the law of interconnectedness, and that we are all connected. And even the parts that we don't like are still connected to us, just like the rotten tree on my land. But it doesn't mean we have to nurture and feed it. And it also doesn't mean that we can get complacent and just comply with its needs. We have to say we've had enough. We have to communicate it with all the other trees all over all the lands and say we're all connected, but we no longer have to feed you if you don't help feed us and preserve us. We no longer have to do that. If y'all need a copy of the contract revocation, message me after this. I'll be glad to send it to you. And you can do it, but just know that you have to know that it's not something that you can take lightly. It needs to be observed, and whether you call on a dead ancestor, that's up to you, whoever you want to observe it. Connect with the land. Connect with the spirits of the land. Connect with your ancestors. Yes, thank you. We no longer have to feed that tree that no longer bears fruit. So we've got to stick together. We have to understand that we are made for this time and this space. So do what you do best and let that little light shine. Okay? Yes, your dog can observe it. Ask your dog if she. Okay, so, I love y'all. Y'all are all worthy of healing and unconditional love. I'm here offering unwavering support and unconditional love for each of you. And I want you to know that you are worthy. And I will see you soon. I love y'all.